You're watching a video about manipulation while being manipulated. Let's test something. Stop scrolling for 60 seconds. Don't switch tabs. Don't check a message. Just stay still. Feel that? That tiny pull in your fingers? The urge to check, refresh, move? That's not boredom. That's programming. At some point, probably years ago, you stopped deciding when to seek stimulation. The stimulation started deciding for you. The moment a red dot lights up, your brain fires dopamine before you even think. That chemical hit is older than language, but someone learned how to sell it back to you in 4K resolution. The same science that made rats press levers for sugar pellets now makes billions of humans press screens for approval. We've just traded cages for convenience. The levers glow, the pellets ping, and the experiment never ends. Look around, the like, the streak, the you're on fire badge, each is a reward engineered by design teams who know exactly how long you'll chase it before needing another. You refresh, they record. You hesitate, they adapt. You think you're choosing, but your reaction time was plotted in advance. You opened this video while scrolling. You told yourself you'd just watch for a moment. But you're still here. And you'll probably stay until the end. That's not weakness. That's design. In the 1940s, psychologist B.F. Skinner built a small metal box with a lever, a rat, and a reward. When the rat pressed the lever, it got food. But soon Skinner made a change. Sometimes the lever gave food, sometimes it didn't. That unpredictability, the variable reward, made the rat obsessed. Consistent rewards create habits. Variable rewards create addiction. The brain never knows when the next hit is coming, so it never stops checking. That was the birth of behavioral control. And decades later, Silicon Valley adopted it as gospel. By the early 2000s, Stanford's Persuasive Technology Lab, a department dedicated to studying how computers could change human behavior, began teaching those same principles to app designers. Skinner's notes became slides. The rat's cage became a smartphone. The variable reward became a notification sound. And the modern interface, the button, the swipe, the red icon, became the new lever. One of the most influential manuals of that era was called Hooked. It wasn't written for scientists, it was written for designers. It laid out the blueprint for building habit-forming technology. Trigger, action, variable reward, investment. Sound familiar? Now every app you touch uses it. Social media, streaming, even productivity tools, they all run the same behavioral loop. Each time you act, they measure how fast you respond. Each time you resist, they tweak the trigger. Every scroll, every tap, every microsecond becomes behavioral data, an invisible diary of your reflexes. Think of the last app you deleted. How long before you downloaded it again? That's not weak willpower. That's the loop completing itself. You didn't choose your favorite app, it chose you. It learned your weakness faster than you learned its features. And somewhere, in a meeting room full of caffeine and whiteboards, designers watched real-time dashboards pulse with your data. The red dots were your moments of hesitation. The spikes were your dopamine. Because you're not the player anymore. You're the experiment. And the scariest part? You volunteered. You probably think you know what dopamine is. Pleasure, right? Not quite. Dopamine isn't the feeling of reward, it's the anticipation of reward. The spark that keeps you reaching, scrolling, clicking. It's not satisfaction, it's pursuit. In Skinner's box, it made rats press the lever. On your phone, it makes you chase the next hit of novelty. And the architects of gamification learned something dangerous. Control the anticipation, and you control the loop. Every app you open trains your brain in microbursts. A sound, a color, a motion, each becomes a cue that predicts possible pleasure. Over time, your mind starts releasing dopamine before the reward even arrives. The system hijacks your prediction network, the same network that evolved to help your ancestors find food and safety. But now, it's finding pixels. Gamification turned this chemistry into code. Points, streaks, progress bars, likes, each is a variable reward dressed as achievement. And it doesn't stop at screens anymore. Fitness apps make your heartbeat a score. Work dashboards gamify productivity. Dating apps gamify attraction. Even learning platforms gamify curiosity. Life itself has been turned into a casino of micro-rewards. But the most subtle part isn't the excitement, it's the withdrawal. When you're not playing, the world feels flat. The real sky looks too still. The real pace too slow. So you reach for the next notification, not because you want it, but because you can't stand the silence it leaves behind. That's not laziness. That's conditioning. The system doesn't just sell you dopamine. It borrows your attention, trades it, and sells the data to whoever can profit from your reflex. Here's the twist, dopamine isn't the villain. It's just chemistry. But gamification weaponized it by scheduling your anticipation. You no longer feel time passing naturally, you feel it in countdowns, streak resets, and algorithmic reminders. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you looked at a clock instead of a progress bar? Every metric you chase is someone else's lever. Every streak you maintain feeds someone else's experiment. Because you're not just reacting, you're predicting, exactly as they designed you to. And prediction is what makes the loop unbreakable. Until you notice the silence. The pause. The absence of stimulation. That's the moment the loop loses power. And that's the moment most people never reach. By now, the game no longer needs your input. It already knows your next move. That's the quiet evolution from gamification to prediction. The dopamine loop was just the opening act. The real control came when algorithms stopped reacting and started anticipating. Netflix knows you'll click the third suggestion 70% of the time, so it puts what it wants you to watch there. TikTok predicts how long you'll watch each video before you even swipe. Spotify assigns a confidence score to every song you've never heard, determining what it thinks you'll like before you decide. It's not reading your mind. It's shaping it. Because the more data you give it, the smaller the space becomes between choice and prediction, until there's no space at all. You think you're choosing. You're not. You're confirming. This is predictive captivity, a system that doesn't restrain you, it just removes the need for resistance. The cage is invisible because it always feels like your own reflection. And it's worth billions. Every second you linger on a screen, that microbehavior feeds machine learning models that auction your future attention in real time. The same dopamine pulses that once trained you now train the system. We've become participants in a simulation that learns faster than we do. It studies your fatigue patterns, your micropauses, your blink rate through camera lenses. It times the next notification precisely to your next moment of boredom. And when that boredom arrives, the system doesn't wait, it delivers. Instant pleasure, no friction. That's how freedom dissolves, not through control, but through convenience. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt real silence, not silence of sound, but silence of stimulus? If that question makes you uncomfortable, that's the proof. The algorithm has colonized your inner space, the space where choice should live. The only thing it fears is boredom. Because boredom breaks prediction. It interrupts the data stream. It makes your future unreadable. And for a system built to forecast behavior, unreadable means unprofitable. So if you ever feel the urge to scroll, pause. Let the silence expand. Because in that emptiness, you're invisible again. You've seen the loop. You've felt the pull. You've noticed the silence you almost never get. Here's the truth, the game doesn't want you to pause. It thrives on your participation, your anticipation, your invisible labor. But there is a crack, a space they cannot reach. It's boredom. It's silence. It's unpredictability. Turn off notifications. Delete the apps you thought you needed. Let the streaks fade. Step into the emptiness. That's where your autonomy hides. That's where the game cannot predict you. That's where you reclaim the margin of time no algorithm can touch. And when you do, even briefly, something remarkable happens. The dopamine loop doesn't disappear. It's replaced with agency. The system loses the constant data it craves. Your next choice is unknown. Unmeasured. Unbought. Ask yourself, tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, who programs your first thought of the day? If it isn't you, the game has already started. The exit isn't heroic. It isn't dramatic. It isn't even permanent. It's tiny. Incremental. Intentional. Every pause chips away at the predictive cage. Every moment of boredom is a victory. Every glance away is a refusal. The game will always be there, waiting. But now, you know its rules. And for the first time, you can choose whether to play, or simply walk away. Because freedom isn't about escaping the game entirely. It's about creating moments the game cannot predict. And those moments? They are yours.